The fall of social media. The title of this video doesn't necessarily mean that I think that social media is going to go extinct or become obsolete, but it certainly is going through somewhat of a reckoning of late. Later in this video, I'll discuss 3 major flaws of modern social media, with one being the main reason I think that social media is on the decline. Recently, Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion US, and we now know it's losing millions of dollars per day. But to be fair, the company was having problems well before Elon Musk bought it. If you look at the company data over the last 10 years, it's been losing millions of dollars every year apart from 2018 and 2019. But in 2020, it lost $1.1 billion. 2021 was a little bit better, but it still lost $221 million. So it's not like it was a thriving company when Musk bought it. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, has been having some issues of late as well. Its stock price has dropped almost 75% over the last year. Consequently, Zuckerberg had to lay off 11,000 employees via email, which is about 13% of their workforce. But to be fair to him, he did say sorry. In a blog post on Meta's website, not only was he sorry, he was especially sorry. So as I said earlier, in this video I'd like to discuss 3 major flaws of modern social media that could potentially explain its downfall. But just before that, let's answer one important question. Why do people use social media? Well, I think in its simplest form, the answer is pretty obvious. Humans are inherently social. I don't think that's particularly surprising or unique to humans. Most animals I can think of exhibit some form of social behaviour. But throughout human history, it was cooperative behaviour and social interaction that allowed the human species to survive and thrive. Those that strayed too far from the tribe often didn't make it home. So of course it makes sense that we naturally flock towards so-called social media. But as I said, there are a number of flaws with this relatively new online form of interaction. Number 1, lack of physical contact. Obviously, no matter which social media network you use, there is a complete lack of face-to-face interaction. People are not physically present with one another when they use these networks. Of course, despite this, modern social media has still thrived, but for completeness, it's certainly worth mentioning. With regards to how humans naturally interact with one another, it certainly is a flaw. Of course, this has been an issue with every other form of remote communication that has come before it. During wartime, people used to write letters to one another due to a lack of other means of communication. Before the internet, people used to phone their daughters who lived overseas. Even modern-day video calls, although really cool technology, still doesn't quite capture the same feeling of being present with somebody in the same room. Humans need that physical bond. They need to sit down next to each other. They need that close physical contact, to hold hands or to hug one another. That's what makes humans feel special. Unfortunately, social media simply can't capture that. The second flaw, anonymity. Now, I'm all for remaining anonymous on the internet. There's lots of problems associated with sharing your real-life details online. For example, there could be a real danger for minors, or victims of crime, or victims of domestic violence being forced to reveal their identities online. Not to mention that sensitive information can be, and has been, stolen or leaked. However, there are also some real problems with people remaining anonymous. Although most of us probably try to remain fairly respectful online, some use their anonymity to become absolute horrible people. They abuse people, they troll people, they do everything that they wouldn't do in real life. Obviously, when you're in a room with real people, you tend to try to be respectful and civil with them. I guess even most trolls would behave fairly respectfully in front of others. Failure not to might result in a broken nose. But in the online world, where anonymity is their friend, trolls fear no reprisal when they tell their victims the most egregious things. Unsurprisingly, for modern social media, if a platform is overrun by anonymous trolls, it is unlikely to attract a broad user base. People don't like being abused constantly. For this very reason, I quit most social media, or at least use it very sparingly. In my opinion, the online social world has become a very toxic environment. Anonymity, at least somewhat, has contributed to people leaving the big social media platforms. And now for the biggest flaw of modern social media, at least in my reckoning, censorship. I think this is a major reason why many people are leaving the big social media platforms, especially over the last couple of years. Don't get me wrong, I completely understand the need for these companies to censor illegal material. I get that. If they allowed their users to freely distribute illegal content, they would surely be shut down. However, over the last couple of years, a lot of the stuff that they are censoring is not illegal. The big social media networks have simply taken it upon themselves to decide what people can and can't talk about. In some cases, entire sides of an argument are simply being deleted under so-called community guidelines or misinformation policies, or by the use of so-called fact-checkers. People who dare break these rules are often permanently banned. I personally think that the social media giants are shooting themselves in the foot with these arbitrary policies. They're silencing debate. Honest online social discourse is being destroyed, at least with regards to topics that they deem unacceptable. And I would argue that this is simply not natural. In real life, when people participate in face-to-face communication, they're pretty much free to talk about whatever they deem appropriate. Sure, there are some examples of situations where speech is monitored, for example, children in a classroom. However, as soon as the children are outside in the playground, no longer under the watchful eye of the teacher, they talk about whatever they want to. I know, I have children. My meaning is that in real life, there's no third party adjudicating what can and can't be said. Sure, to some extent we censor ourselves. That is, we wouldn't talk the same way to a child as we would an adult. We wouldn't talk the same way to a stranger on the street as we would to a close friend. But the point is, this is self-regulated. We constantly make social judgments of what we should and shouldn't say in front of others depending on the situation and who we're talking to. It's what makes us very effective social beings. However, the social media giants have taken that power away from us to some extent and have essentially started dictating what topics are out of bounds. And there's no recourse. If you say something that the company has deemed inappropriate, they can ban you, often permanently, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, except perhaps make an account with a fake name. In purchasing Twitter, Elon Musk has stated that he wants to bring back free speech to Twitter and end this needless censorship, but that in itself has made lots of people upset. Some people honestly enjoy others being censored, especially people that they disagree with. But as I said, this isn't natural. It would be like having a conversation in a pub with a friend, with somebody constantly standing over your shoulder listening to your every word, waiting for you to make a mistake and talk about a forbidden topic. And if you did, they'd grab you by the arm and physically eject you from the premises, never allowing you to return. And it wouldn't matter how many apologies you made, you'd be banned for life. Of course, this would be absolutely insane, but yet this is what the social media companies are essentially doing, ejecting people for talking about what the company deems inappropriate. They're silencing one side of the debate for no other reason than they said so. In my opinion, this is completely immoral. It's amazing that we've allowed it to go on for so long. So yes, it doesn't surprise me that social media is falling. When you stop a social animal, such as a human, from communicating honestly and openly, then you're stopping natural social behaviour. And if you do it long enough, people will just end up leaving. Perhaps we need a couple of these social media giants to have a great fall.